The brain never stops developing until you die. If you're 100 years old and you learn something that you didn't know before, your brain makes new connections if you remember it the next day, right? But the most rapid period of brain development is in the first few years. But because it's so rapid and because it builds the foundation, that's why it's so important. Because everything that follows has to build on that foundation made in the first few years.
You could think about the baby's brain as kind of like old Paris, where there were a million little tiny streets all wiggling around in different directions. So in the baby's brain, there's many, many different routes and possible connections from one neuron, one nerve cell to another nerve cell. What happens in development is that those pathways that are used a lot get maintained and strengthened, and the ones that aren't used just sort of disappear. So the adult brain looks much more like Paris after Monsieur Haussmann had tidied it up. So there's big boulevards, big straight roads that go from one place to another very quickly and very straightforwardly, but you don't have the kind of little side paths that you have in the baby's brain.
Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change with experience. So we think of children as being the most plastic brain in the universe, right? It is the most adaptable device, more than any machine, certainly more than adults. So that can be both good and bad. If your experience is full of, talk and relationship building and social understanding and play and imagination, your brain soars. You build expectancies related to those experiences. If your life is full of abuse, is full of scary experiences, of threats, of a lack of nutrition, many things can be threats to that brain's development. Then you close down your expectancies, you close down your joy of life and your tendency to want to experience the next new thing. So you can either grow or limit your potential in that early period based on what your experiences are.
The example is if you're a flower trying to grow in a desert and you have no water, then the flower will die. So whatever is genetically programmed for the flower to grow will not manifest itself unless it gets the water. Or the water in this case is parenting, early life stimulation.